Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Welcome to the relaunch of Imprint of Imperialism in Lukman Nation here on Black Power Media. And I thought it was fitting that I start this relaunch with a discussion about the crisis in Haiti. What is the crisis? What and who contributes to the crisis? And why the answers that are being proposed to resolve the crisis will only deepen it rather, and continue the disenfranchisement and the denial of self-determination of the Haitian people. And I could not think of anyone to have this conversation with who was more fitting and knowledgeable than Dr. Jemima Pierre, Haiti America's coordinator for the Black Alliance for Peace. Dr. Pierre, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Jackie. So happy to be here.
I am really glad that you're able to come on and talk to us about what's going on in Haiti, because while I think a lot of people understand the important historical relevance of Haiti as a symbol for struggle, the first Black nation to successfully defeat every imperialist empire that colonized, enslaved, occupied it. The recent history of the continued punishment of Haiti for that feat, I think, is lost in the imperialist rhetoric that only serves to legitimize that continued punishment of Haiti. So we're faced now with this narrative of, rampant criminal gangs in Haiti that are destroying the country, creating all manner of havoc, taking lives, mass rapes, all kinds of things. And these criminal gangs are now eliciting an official response from the quote unquote international community. So, how does this current narrative fit into the historical significance of Haiti, and why is it really important that we don't sever those two from each other when we're talking about what's going on in Haiti today?
Yeah, Jackie, thank you so much for that introduction and for really laying out. Actually, I think the cause is a consequence, right? And what we're seeing happening to Haiti and in Haiti is a direct result of that history, that laudable history in the Pan-African world of this country coming out of the heart of slavery, white supremacy, and imperial and colonialism. The way to answer what's going on in Haiti is to say the common, the baseline understanding of Haiti is that Haiti is under current occupation by the UN and this group called the Core Group. Haiti has been under occupation since 2004, when the US, France, and Canada met in Canada the year before and hatched a plan to remove Haiti's democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Everything that has happened subsequent to that is a result of this coup d'etat and the occupation that ensues. And so to understand what's going on in Haiti is to actually understand that Haiti's under occupation and that Haiti actually has lost its sovereignty, especially this time since 2004. And so anything that happens is actually under the guard of the UN and the core group. So if there are gangs, so-called gangs in Haiti, what we really should call paramilitaries, because they're arming these young men. If these paramilitaries are there, if their numbers have proliferated, if numbers of guns have proliferated, which they have over the past 2 years in the country, it's all under the control of the UN and the core group in the US. So they're the reason. It's intervention and occupation that has actually allowed the country to supposedly deteriorate in the way that it has. I wanted to quickly add, because it's fascinating, and I know we'll talk about Kenya and Africa in a minute, but it's fascinating how the same people who dismiss US imperialist narratives when it comes to Russia and the proxy war in Ukraine, and say that the Western press is made up a bunch of liars and they're all lie and they all do the same thing. When it comes to Haiti, they believe the narrative. So I'm trying to figure out how Africans know that the US is lying about what's going on in Russia, in Ukraine. They're lying about what happens on the continent, but yet you think what they're saying about Haiti is true. There's a disconnect there that happens. And I also want people to know that the way that they describe Haitians, the racist language of chaos and Black people can't control themselves. It's the same language that is used to describe Black people in the US and Black people in the Caribbean, which is why, for example, Jamaican immigrants are the most deported among Black immigrants in the US, because there's this narrative around their Jamaican violence. There's the way that they report so-called warfare, tribal warfare on the African continent, right? And so part of that is to understand how they construct Haiti, how they've always constructed Haiti in this way, so that you don't realize actually most of the situation that's happening is happening in the Port-au-Prince, which is the city, the capital city of Haiti, right around the UN structures. And so if there's a problem, some of the so-called paramilitary groups are acting right near the U.S. embassy. They're there, right? And so if that's happening, then we have to understand, we have to ask the questions. Well, how is it that these things are allowed to happen? How is it that other parts of the country are fine? Haiti had a jazz festival a few months ago in northern Haiti. People are flying in, they're doing these things. Yes. And so you have to, so when people say Haiti, they think the whole country is like, there's like a civil war in Haiti, it's under siege, because that's how they're presenting it. And I also want to say that every time they want to push for an intervention, Haiti becomes, all the media, it's like they all get the script and they all write the same stories. And people all over the world believe that. They believe it because they're primed to believe it because of their original racist ideas, including Black people, about what Haiti is and what Haiti represents.
So the very nature of the criminal gangs can be laid at the feet of U.S. imperialism and the core group in particular. For people who don't know, what is the core group?
The core, and this is why I say everything begins with the 2004 invasion and occupation of Haiti. And for people who don't know, and I've said this a lot on this show and on Black Power Media, is that the U.S. Marines landed on the night of February 28th, landed in Haiti's airport. U.S. Marines went to the house, the U.S. ambassador to Haiti, and the U.S. Marines went to the house of the Haitian elected president, put him in a car and his family, and put him on a plane and flew him to Africa. Now, this is not the kind of back to Africa we wanted. Immediately, and this is why the UN Security Council is important, because the countries who are behind the coup d'etat, France and the US in particular, and Canada, but France and the US both have seats. They have seats on the UN Security Council. As soon as they put Aristide on a plane, they convened a special session of the Security Council meeting saying that Haiti needs a stabilizing force and the stabilizing mission and intervention force. And they chose to take this idea of a Chapter 7 mission. If for all you guys who don't know the so-called UN peacekeeping missions, a Chapter 6 is when the peacekeepers go, there's no civil war, they don't use force and so on and so forth. A Chapter 7 mission means that a country's in civil war and the UN soldiers are able to use any type of force, aerial, ground, whatever, against the local populations to bring stability. So the corruption of this is that you have the two countries that were behind the coup d'etat having enough power in the UN Security Council to actually cover up the coup d'etat with an illegal UN occupation, right? And they hid that coup d'etat under the UN Security Council, which brought in all these people to occupy. It is out of this occupation, the UN intervention force in Haiti that began June 1st, 2004, is how you have the emergence of the core group, the construction of this core group of basically non-Haitian people. They call themselves the Friends of Haiti, but they're the ones that basically were put together. That include members from the European Union, members from the Organization of American States, members, countries like Brazil, which still, by the way, is still a member of the core group for the leftists who think that Latin America cares about Haiti. Brazil, Chile, and all these people had, so they have representatives of the core group, and they decide how the UN mission works in Haiti. So the core group the core group is really what is the group that's running Haiti, and they make all kinds of decisions. And so the occupation, the large force of the UN soldiers that were in Haiti were there from 2004 to 2017, where they basically drew down and diminished the number of the force, but they left the UN office in Haiti. The UN office in Haiti is now called BINU, and they're not elected. There are no Haitians in the group. And right now it's being run by this woman from El Salvador. So whenever you see a UN Security Council meeting about Haiti, it's these non-Black people who are making the case for military intervention at the UN for Haiti. So the UN Security Council's person in Haiti, which is behind a lot of the mess in Haiti, are the same ones going to the UN Security Council making the case for intervention in Haiti. And so the core group is this illegitimate, unelected group of people that is given a mandate by the UN without say from the people. But they're the ones that make all the decisions. And they're the ones that actually put Ariel Henry in power after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse in July 2021.
So you mentioned Brazil, El Salvador, and
Chile.
Chile, other countries where there are progressive, if not leftist, struggles going on right now. What do we do with the fact that there are countries whose leaders are either progressive or leftists and are themselves fighting against U.S. and Western imperialist aggression against them, who seem to be or who are operating in the same imperialist fashion, or at least in league with the imperialists in denying Haitian self-determination? What do we do with that contradiction?
We have to keep pointing it out. And I think the best example is Mexico, right? Brazil and Mexico are the two biggest examples. The first one, Brazil, because Brazil under Lula offered to send his troops to lead the military wing of the occupation in 2004. And Brazil, Lula was this leftist, the pink tide, if you all remember, the vote and so on and so forth. Brazil thought that they can use Haiti as a training ground so that they can get a seat at the table with the White West, right? And so Haiti then becomes this thing that they use in order to raise themselves up, and to basically work for their own national whatever being. Mexico did the same thing, right? So Mexico is supposedly this, leftist president now, is getting a lot of play. Basically saying, for example, with this meeting, the so-called peace meeting that's supposed to happen in Saudi Arabia, saying, well, we're not going because Russia's not invited and so on and so forth. So the leftists are saying, oh gosh, he's standing up to imperialism. But Mexico in the fall, last summer and in the fall, was the co-pen holder for the Haiti in the UN Security Council. As it's, under its leadership, rotating leadership of the UN Security Council, it's Mexico that worked with the US to pen this resolution, at first to send an armed military force outside of the UN to invade Haiti. And if it wasn't for the constant protests, that would have happened. So Mexico was behind this push to send an armed military intervention. And Mexico's also been training plain loads of Haitian military since then. So people don't know this. There are thousands of people that are paramilitary Haitian that are being trained by the Mexican military, Mexican police. And so what we have to do is actually expose these contradictions and also really call out the racism, right? Because I like I said, in this article I wrote, the leftism of the Americas collapses at the door of Haitian sovereignty. It's like when it comes to this Black country, they can't see us. They don't see Haiti, even though if it wasn't for Haiti, the region would not be free. Let's remember, it is Haiti that provided Simon Bolivar with with the arms and the space to go and liberate Latin America. So we have to call out what's going on, and we have to really point out is how, we have to ask the question, how is it that, I love the support that people have for Cuba. I think we need to get rid of what's going on, get rid of the blockade. I think we need to support Nicaragua. I think we need to support Venezuela. But these people can have like 20 rallies on Cuba and leave out Haiti. I saw this poster where it was like U.S. intervention outside of the region, and they left out Haiti. They forgot Haiti. And so what is wrong with people? We have to ask them. We have to ask the leftists in this region to really do some self, to really think about what's going on, and why is it that they cannot bring themselves to respect and to push for Haiti's sovereignty.
Yeah, and that kind of thing shows up in the strangest ways. I recently tweeted the fact that U.S. imperialism will find its grave in Africa, and the Monroe Doctrine will find its grave in the Americas and in Haiti. And a couple of people responded, well, the Monroe Doctrine will find its grave in the Americas. And I'm like, but Haiti too, because Haiti is a victim of the Monroe Doctrine. And it goes that deeply into the psyche of US leftists that too many of us really don't see Haiti as a part of the struggle against US imperialism and all of the doctrines that have been used to extend it throughout the Caribbean, the Americas, and the rest of the world. So it's definitely an ideological fight that we have to keep waging. But the current issue, the current crisis, has reached a point in which the United Nations is calling for armed military intervention into Haiti. The United States is calling for armed military intervention in Haiti. And there was an interesting development very recently in which Kenya has proposed to lead a multinational force into, and NPR calls it violence torn Haiti. Just a great example of how US supposedly progressive media frames Haiti. Not only now has Kenya decided that they want to lead this multinational force into Haiti by sending 1,000 Kenyan soldiers in to support Haitian police, but now, and let me just quickly show you this, now the Bahamas has promised to join Kenya in its security force as this support for a military intervention into Haiti grows. And of course, the United Nations is now urging other states in the region to join Kenya in this security force. And the justification from the Kenyan government is that they're in support of Africans around the world, and this intervention in Kenya, in support of this intervention into Haiti, in support of the Haitian police against these armed gangs, is an expression of Pan-Africanism, is what they call it, and a way for them to show their support for African people. That sounds like imperialist drivel to me. What is really going on here, Dr. Pierre?
Well, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't freeze too much. My connection where I am is not great. But so what's going on is, first of all, I want everybody to think about this. Why is it that every solution that's proposed to help Haiti is a violent one? Why is it we have to have more police? We have to have more prisons. After the earthquake in Haiti, the first thing that the Canadians and the US did was build prisons and, support the police.
Wait,
Haitian
not
police has
hospitals?
never
They
been
didn't build,
supportive of the
hold on.
people.
They didn't build hospitals after that
Huh?
earthquake. They built prisons.
No, they built prisons. And so tell me, why is it that if there's a problem going on, thinking that you bring more police into a situation where the US, first of all, has been dumping arms, which is what they did in El Salvador, if people remember. They've been dumping arms, military-grade weapons into Haiti, which is causing the situation. So first thing is, who's calling for an intervention in Haiti? They're saying Haiti's government. Haiti's government is illegitimate. Ariel Henry was imposed on the people. The prime minister position in Haiti is not an elected position. It's an appointed position by the Haitian president. So that's first. When the Haitian president died, Ariel Henry was in transition. He had not been officially appointed. The core group appointed, with the help of the Biden administration, appointed him. So from the very beginning, we have the core group, unelected, who has no mandate according to the people. We have Henry asking for intervention. They're asking for intervention because the people have been protesting a bunch of things. We forget that before from 2018, Haitians have been on the streets protesting against the PHDK, the government of Jovenel Moïse, protesting against Jovenel Moïse, protesting against the IMF-led push to remove fuel subsidies for the Haitian people, which increased prices by 50% overnight. So this is what people have been protesting. And so all of a sudden, these protests, they're called, Ariel Henry's calling them gangs, right? And so part of the thing is, we have an illegitimate government that's installed by our occupiers, because Haiti's under occupation, calling for armed intervention. Why would they want armed intervention? Because first of all, the Chinese representative at the UN Security Council said, well, why don't we put an arms embargo? Because the truth is, if all these military weapons and ammunition is coming into Haiti, if that stopped coming, we wouldn't have the situation of these paramilitary groups. We also have to remember, it's the US and the Dominican Republic and Canada that funded the paramilitary groups in 2004, right before the coup against Aristide. So all these guns, all these paramilitaries, they're being funded by the US, by Ariel Henry. They want an intervention because they want to uphold this puppet government against the people's will, because the people are still protesting against it. And so I don't know if you know this, every time there's about to be a UN Security Council meeting, the media blows up with Haitian stories. And then they go quiet again. So you can look at a cycle. If somebody, journalism students should do this. Look at a cycle, link when the meetings on the UN Security Council are happening, like to renew the core group's mandate or to call for intervention. All the stories, BBC, CNN, NPR, everything goes about Haiti. And it's always like this violence just shows up from out of nowhere. Like these people are just killing each other, that countries in arms and so on and so forth. We forget all the protests for like decent cost of living, minimum wage that is greater, and so on and so forth. So what's going on is that the US has been trying to get a military occupation to uphold this illegitimate government that's its puppet, that does everything it wants, including removing the fuel subsidies that the IMF asked it to do and doing whatever it needs. They need Haiti because people forget, as they prepare for war with China, they need a manufacturing hub. Haiti's population is 12 million people. Haiti provides much more cheap labor for Canada's companies than any other country. Haiti competes with China and Asia in terms of providing cheap labor. They need to have a source of cheap labor. They want to subdue the people, remove them from the lands that they own so that they can have access to it. They also need that little part of Mole St. Nicholas, which is right near Guantanamo Bay at the northern part of Haiti that they've been wanting since 1800s, so that their boats can go through and get to the Panama Canal to get to the Pacific as they prepare for war in China. People always say, well, why is Haiti? This little country means nothing. I'm like, they need Haiti. They need Haiti. They need our minerals, which is comes in the trillions of dollars. The oil that has been found right out on the coast of Haiti. And then they need the labor. They need to turn us into a wage labor, a cheap labor hub. And so what they've been doing is wanting to keep this guy in power in order to control Haiti, because they're having trouble controlling Haiti. But the good thing the one good thing about this is that imperialism's power is declining, because back in the days they could just send the military force and the UN Security Council would just do that, just like they did in 2004. But now they've been trying for 2 years to get an intervention force in Haiti. It's not going through. Every time they're saying, in addition to China and Russia saying no, but people are protesting it. Everybody's in the streets. They're talking about the core group. They tried again last year with Mexico, had Mexico take the lead. Again, people are going against it. And then they went and tried to convince CELAC, right? The Central American and Caribbean nations. Nobody wanted to take that lead. Canada doesn't want to take the lead. And then at first CARICOM said no, but then these traitors, because that's what I call them, finally said yes, because Blinken went there and Kamala Harris went there and squeezed them. And just last month they agreed to send a force. But they said the only way we can do it is we get money from the US to support it. Mind you, Jamaica has been under, security, like all their borders have been closed, air cities because they have a freaking gang problem, and so does Mexico. If we're going to talk about gang violence, right? And they have a murder problem, like murder capital of the Caribbean. That's Jamaica, right? Kingston and all these places, right? Mm. And so part of it is, so now they've managed to get these African stooges, right? The Kenyans and the horrible Kagame to come in, who attended the Caribbean, the CARICOM Caribbean Community meeting last month and offered his troops. And you have to think about, what is it that do they gain? There are two things happening, I think, is going. So now they've got a black face to do this occupation. And part of it is there are two things happening. One of them is, I think a lot of people outside believe in the UN. They think the UN is truly a democratic institution. And that, the UN says this, whenever they have their reports, UN office says this, UN office has done this research. What people don't realize that, take the history of the UN, which comes out of the League of Nations. The League of Nations comes out of colonialism, where they use the League to actually ratify official colonial rule, right? The UN Security Council is the most unequal and undemocratic institution because you have 5 permanent members who make all the decisions. The Security Council is non-rotating 5 permanent seats. So all these other 100 or so countries have no say. Whatever they vote on does not matter. That is an undemocratic institution. And the UN has always played the US imperialist role, right? And the Western white supremacist role in the rest of the world. And all these major global institutions are all white supremacists. The World Bank, the WTO, the WHO, they all play that imperialist role. So people believe in the UN. So they're like, oh, the UN and so the Kenyan president is like, the UN and the Friends of Haiti asked us to intervene. And I'm like, do you know what's going on in Haiti? Because that's the second thing. The sad part is people in the diaspora, people on the African continent don't take the time to know the histories of these countries, right? On the African continent, they don't take the time to know what's going on in the Caribbean. They believe the US, they believe the UN. They don't have any idea of the history of Haiti. They don't have any idea of the history of imperialism in Haiti. And they think that they're doing Haiti a favor. So they're using the language of Pan-Africanism, even though they're being asked by the US to come in and send a military force to Haiti. So I think that's what's going on. The other part is African countries have lost their independence, right? I mean, not that, colonial decolonization never really occurred. But the media is the most important part because, I've been all over the continent and I've done a lot of work on the continent. And when you go there, and I saw the shift from like the 90s, I'm aging myself, but from the 90s to now in terms of the loss of local reporting. So what do you do? All the news comes from the CNN, from BBC, from, even Al Jazeera, right? And so that's where the news is. And so when you open up a local newspaper on the African continent, it's a story sourced from the CNN and the BBC. So they believe what the CNN International, because that's what everybody watches, they believe what CNN is saying about Haiti. They believe that Haiti, they think, the way that they construct this, they think Haiti is like marred in violence. Everybody's killing each other, bodies all over the street, which is not true, right? But they believe that, and they believe in the UN. So I can see how easy it is for them to say yes. But the other thing is, the reason they're sending the police is because the US is paying their police salaries. And that's the other thing, right? Because one of the key things about having these multinational, because the occupation of Haiti from 2004 with the 12,000 military force, there are countries from all over the world. All these poor countries, Rwanda, Burkina Faso, everybody sent, including Bolivia, everybody sent military, everybody sent soldiers. You know why? Because these soldiers get military, they get UN salaries, so they can pay for their police, right? They can, and then they can look good in the eyes of the West. So Kenya is like, oh, I'm helping out Haiti. Meanwhile, they got 1,000 police getting more salary than they would ever get in their lifetimes in Kenya. So it's a bribe, but they're using it, and they're using Haiti, as a way to bring up their own police officers and to bring up themselves in the eyes of the white imperialists. And to me, all those together really combine to make the situation really bad for Haiti and Haitians, because all of a sudden the onslaught against us, like Kenya's racked by protests and violence right now. How the hell are you going to send 1,000? Sorry about my cousin, but how are you going to send 1,000 police to all the way to Haiti when you can't control your own people who are in the streets protesting? The Bahamas has a drug problem. It has all kinds of problems. And the other thing is, these Caribbean countries, they've treated Haitian migrants like crap. In fact, there's a group of Haitians that landed in Jamaica 2 weeks ago. They find them, charge them to hard labor, and are going to deport them. How do you treat your fellow Haitian that you say you care about, but then the migrants that are come over, you treat them worse than the white nations treat? So it's really, I know I'm getting like really frustrated. It's just really, there's so much going on. It's just a convergence of all these things that really then to help basically keep the pressure on Haiti and try to keep us down. It really is the whole world against Haiti. And people don't even, and like, including our Black people, like, shit, at least Russia has the global South on its side, at least Cuba has the leftists. Who's on Haiti's side? No one. No one.
And this is why this conversation and your expertise and your knowledge is so deeply critical at this moment, because we need to be on the side of Haiti, because we are the beneficiaries of the Haitian Revolution and the example Haiti set by kicking out every imperialist army and the enslavers and the colonizers. But you mentioned that this all started in the modern era with the deposition or the deposing rather of President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, the democratically elected president in Haiti. What was the significance of his presidency that caused the United States to do what they did and send the Marines in and basically deport him to Africa?
Yeah, well, Aristide is also the first democratically elected Haitian president in Haiti's history. So that's that. And he came after a 30-year dictatorship by the Duvaliers, the father and the son, and the terror caused to the Haitian people by the Tonton Macoute, the Duvaliers' private police. Duvalier was kicked out of Haiti finally in 1986, and then we had 3 years of coups d'etats and military takeovers. And the Duvalier coup d'etat was very much, the Duvalier dictatorship was supported by the U.S. because Duvalier was anti-communist. And so whatever it takes, So the U.S. supported Duvalier the entire time that he was wreaking havoc on the people and dismantling whatever institution we had, right? Aristide comes into play later on as a priest, and he gets, the first elections where the U.S. was trying to insert its own puppet. I forgot his name, like Marc Bazin. And even, they called Aristide, and they told Aristide to drop out because Bazin was going to win, the night before, the results and so on and so forth. But Aristide surprised them. He got 67% of the votes of the people and had this movement called Lavalas, which means the avalanche, right, of the people coming down. So that's the situation. And Aristide's popularity remains, even though it's been diminished, because there's been a more than 20 years, because at this point, this happened from the moment he became president in 1990, and he was deposed. By the way, Aristide's the one president that's been deposed twice. He was deposed by a U.S.-led coup d'etat 9 months into his presidency. and he came to the US, he was there. But they've been demonizing Aristide. So you can read all these articles like he's mentally ill, he's angry, he's full of gangs and so on and so forth, right? And so there's a great article called How to Turn a Priest into a Monster, because they talk about how the US really like demonized, you know how the US does, they take a man and they do that, right? So anyways, he was brought back into power by Clinton with a military invasion, because there are so many Haitians coming by boat to to the US, and Clinton wanted to do away with this migration. And so, but coming back, he also had to actually agree to some of these IMF mandates. And this is when he started losing a lot of the leftists in Haiti support. But at the same time, they stopped Aristide from doing everything, down to he wanted to raise the minimum wage by 20 cents. They were against that. Like if you read the WikiLeaks papers, it will tell you like how the US is behind every single thing. And so by the time he finishes the presidency 9 months, they make him stop, and then he runs again 2 terms later, he gets the majority of the vote. And then the US basically, what we call lawfare, basically started saying that, because the Lavalas party had won majority of the seats, so the U.S. was like, and with the OAS, by the way, because, the OAS is the Ministry of Colonies, as Castro called them. The OAS has been behind all the bad election stuff happening in Haiti since before 2004. So I have to say that. So they started saying like there are irregularities in the elections, the regional elections and so on and so forth, that the members of the party should not have so many seats. And they basically created this narrative. Right. And meanwhile, they're training paramilitaries in the Dominican Republic. Right. They're funding that. And there's a great book by Jeff Sprague called about paramilitaries in Haiti and how the coup d'etat happened. And they're funding them in Ecuador. They're funding them all over the place. And then they create this narrative, this ragtag group of people. They're coming to take over the capital and so on and so forth. And then by next night, there was a coup d'etat, unbeknownst to people that they'd already met in Canada in December 2020, December 2003, and had decided that they were going to put Haiti under tutelage, that they were going to cause this coup d'etat and put Haiti under tutelage. So Aristide is significant. He's not perfect, because nobody is, but at the same time, he still remains the only popularly elected president. And I don't care with this, the US, when you have Donald Trump, Biden as your president, you have no right to say that, this guy's not doing what we need him to do, so let's get rid of him. Like, can you imagine, somebody coming in and just removing Biden, this guy who doesn't know what the hell is going on right now, and he's supposedly the president? But that's what they did to Haiti. We didn't like him, we can just remove him, despite the fact that he was democratically elected. So we never had the chance to live through and make our own mistakes. Why not? We are supposed to be a sovereign country. So I do think it is significant. And I have to give shout out to, when we had support, Thabo Mbeki from South Africa, who went and gave Aristide asylum from the Central African Republic. And Aristide lived with his family for 7 years in South Africa. And I have to give a credit to back when the Caribbean had a spine under PJ Patterson, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who really looked out for Aristide and tried to support Aristide, but was ruled out by the US.
And this is why we needed to have this conversation to center the fight against imperialism, because unless that fight starts with Haiti, every other fight against imperialism around the world is illegitimate. Dr.
Exactly.
Jemima Pierre, thank you so much for centering us in this fight, continued fight against imperialism, putting Haiti squarely at the center of our focus and our efforts. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jackie. A pleasure.
Absolutely. Greetings, everybody in Lukman Nation. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1, the relaunch of Imprint of Imperialism in Lukman Nation here on Black Power Media. I really hope you enjoyed that interview with the wonderful Dr. Jemima Pierre. We were able to pre-record it earlier this week because she wouldn't have been available this evening to be with us live, but I had to talk to her to get her incredible insight on the crisis facing Haiti, because Haiti is where we need to center and start our efforts to fight imperialism from inside the beating heart of imperialism. We can't continue to talk about fighting imperialism anywhere and everywhere else in the world where it exists without talking about what's being done to Haiti. So I'm really glad that we were able to relaunch this monthly show. This show will air on the first Friday of every month. I'm so glad we were able to relaunch this show with a centering discussion, if you will, from the fantastic Dr. Jemima Pierre of the Black Alliance for Peace Haiti and America's team. But you know what? We're not done. We're not done, because there's a lot going on against in the fight against imperialism that is connected. You heard Dr. Pierre make the connections between all of these comprador leaders and African nations who want to send military and police in to provide a military response to Haiti, being the black face on U.S. and Western imperialism. But it's good to know that not all African leaders are of that disposition. And I'm very, very glad to be joined for this part of the discussion tonight with my good friend and comrade, Dr. Nyaka Lagoke, Assistant Professor of History and Pan-Africana Studies at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and a founding member of the Convention for Pan-Africanism and Progress. Dr. Lagoke, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for the opportunity.
Really glad you could come on and talk about what appears to be the struggle that has entered a new phase in Western African nations against U.S. and Western imperialism of recent in recent months. Most recently, with the coup in Niger, that is causing people to now look at a couple of other coups a few months ago in Mali and Guinea-Bissau, excuse me, and starting to wonder, is this the signal of a rise in Pan-Africanism? Is this a signal that there is a coalescing new African unity federation? What exactly do these coups mean? And I would love for you to break it down for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackie. Um, so for those who are listening to us, I say hi, and I'm glad that they're supporting you in your efforts and everything that you do. Uh, as I heard Dr. Pierre when she was speaking about Haiti, and she said many beautiful things. And then, even though, like she said, she was at times a little bit emotional, because it is so painful to see, to witness, to experience, to live through the pain of your people. But at the same time, you have the feeling that people outside do not know what is really happening. So we have the same commitment and we have the same struggle. And then my work, like many others, is to try and explain to people what is happening on the continent of Africa. So there was a time people thought that Pan-Africanism was a dead idea, and then it was an outdated concept. And then many people in the United States, like to talk about the ADOs, I think that's the name of the people who think that they don't want to be connected to Africa, they don't want to believe in Pan-Africanism. So today, in the 21st century, I say that there are three manifestations of Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is about the unity of Africa and its people, and it's about solidarity, sovereignty, and it is about controlling the resources, in order for it to build a world of prosperity. And then many people before us they tried to do that. And now today we see that there are three major expressions. The first one was the mobilization of the Africans and the African people for the freedom of the former president of Ivory Coast, Gbagbo, who was taken to The Hague after a disputed election. The French, the United Nations that Dr. Pierre was talking about, they went there and they sided with the rebels in the name of democracy, and they bombed the presidential palace, universities, and hospital, and they took Gbagbo and they took him to The Hague. It was there, he was singled out in a conflict during which two sides fought, but Gbagbo was taken with the youth leader Blé Goudé. They spent years in The Hague, and then after the struggle of many, Gbagbo was eventually freed. That was the first expression of Pan-Africanism in Africa in the 21st century. The second one was going to be the People's Power Movement, which started in Senegal in 2012. And then in French, it is called Yanama, which means in English, we are fed up. People took to the street because words and many others, they wanted to change, they wanted to remove the term limit in order to be in power, to extend the term in power. It started in Senegal 2012. It reached Burkina Faso 2014. Over there, that movement claimed the idea, the vision of Thomas Sankara, and then it reached out many other parts of the continent of Africa. Since 2019, 2020, in the aftermath of COVID, we saw the revival of the People's Power movement, this time in the Sahel, because terrorism has been killing many in Burkina, Mali, Niger, and then some other countries, even countries like Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast. We see that terrorists, in the name of Islamism, they've been attacking those countries and killing people, civilians and soldiers. And the French and the Europeans, they put into place several missions. First, there are some missions controlled just by the French, and some other missions in which we can see different groups of the Europeans. In the case of Mali, Serval, Barkhane, and many other missions were there, and then they were not able to defeat terrorism. So people saw they've been denouncing the duplicity of the French and the Europeans, and then they came to the conclusion that the Europeans are there not to fight against terrorism, but to protect their interest and to the detriment of the masses. So another series of people's power movements started, Mali, Burkina, Guinea, and then that series led to the rise to power of a number of officers, and then Mali, Burkina, Guinea, and today Niger. So this is what we need to know for every step of the way. We saw in the case of Mali how the West African regional group called ECOWAS was activated by the French, and then they took a lot of sanctions against Mali. And then there was a huge debate in the African community. Those who believe in Pan-Africanism advocated what they call the ECOWAS of the people versus the ECOWAS of the elite. Many of them, or some of them, manipulated by the French or by the Westerners. This is how Pan-Africanism has been in the central part of every series, from Gbagbo's trial to the People's Power movement that started in Senegal to today, to the rise to power of the officers.
So, two questions. One, does the Pan-Africanist movement, the People's Power movement, I really love that title. I really love that a lot. Does the Pan-Africanist movement that has led to these coups in Western Africa, in the Sahel, do they make connections with not just obviously the influence of the French, their former colonizers and now neo-colonizers, but also the influence of the United States and AFRICOM, So that's one question, and make the connections between the ways they are oppressed by all of the imperialist forces, and the way they might recognize that Africans in the U.S. are also oppressed. So that's the first question, and the second question is, these military leaders who have led these coups against these uh, Western backed comprador leaders in these countries, um, are they illegitimate revolutionary leaders because they came from the military? Like, how do the people in these countries view these leaders who came from the military? Do they view them as revolutionary, or are should we view them with suspicion because they did not come from a so-called grassroots people's movement?
Yeah. Okay, thanks. The first thing that I wanted to say is that for people to better understand, I just want to talk about uh, what I called the wheel of imperialism, that in the book that I published, on the title of the book is Laurent Gbagbo's Trial and the Indictment of the International Criminal Court, a Pan-African Victory. So when we talk about the wheel of imperialism from slavery to today, the Europeans have designed like a structure with different institutions or agencies created in different spheres and that they control. So in the field, for instance, of military, since the beginning, since slavery, colonialism, until today, the military has always played a major part, either to conquer, either to exterminate, or either to subdue, or either to impose the colonial peace or this peace during slavery time. So there are several structures like that. So quickly, the first one will be the imperial states. Number two will be what I call the Afro/European armies during the colonial time. Number three, we have concessionary companies, and then say, forced labor. So that was during colonial time. So in the aftermath of independence, we see the same structure in place, and then the Europeans are doing the same thing that they've been doing during slavery through colonialism till today. So, having said that, one element in the struggle of those that series of manifestation is that the Africans, they took to the streets several times to denounce the foreign military bases in Africa. And this links us to the debate about AFRICOM. Even if they do not focus too much on AFRICOM, they do denounce the presence of foreign military bases in Niger. They spoke about that at so many videos. We don't want any military base here in Africa. Be French, American, we don't want them. So this has been going on because the media are not reporting those expressions of the people. Uh, some may have the impression that nothing is happening. So that is so the connection with AFRICOM, the USA, and the French. The second element, we have those French and the European companies exploiting the mineral resources of Africa. In the case of Niger, it is the uranium. And then in the eastern part of Niger, people, they discovered oil. And then the Chinese are around who built like a 2,000 kilometers, like a pipeline in order to take that oil outside of Niger. And so this is the conversation. And then when we know that 80% of the country in Niger, or 80% of the people, do not have access to electricity, while the French are using that uranium in order to bring light to Europe or to France. Many now are saying, you know what, enough is enough, or we need to do something about it. So that is the conversation, the real one, that is going on in Africa or in Niger, in the Sahel, for quite some time. Now, as people were doing this, uh, I want to talk quickly about the migrants.
Mm,
I've seen,
mhm.
for instance, that maybe today or yesterday, there were some migrants who were arrested when they crossed Tunisia. The Tunisian arrested them. There were a number of them who died. And then I saw myself, people were protesting. And then, even though many of them were not, some of them were not, no, were not English speaking people, they were saying this: Black Lives Matter.
Get out of here.
I'm telling you, I saw it myself. I'll be sending the link. Yeah, so these are the stories people need to know. So there was this. I was impressed when I saw that they say Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Somehow the killing of George Floyd, the protests of Black Americans here, with the support of some whites, of Hispanics, or Asian who believed in justice, somehow it resonated in different parts of the world. And then you remember the Nigerian movement and SARS. So it was, we can say somehow that it was impacted or influenced by the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States. So all the struggles are connected. The only problem is that the media do not always do the connection, and it is our job to say that not not the entire world is not against Haiti. So there are some piece of information that we don't always follow, and we need to try and take all those things into account. Now, talking about the soldiers, I will not say this is what when I'm talking about them. Assimi Goita, who is leading Mali, is definitely is not Modibo Keita. He's not Modibo Keita, and Ibrahim Traore from Burkina Faso definitely is not Thomas Sankara.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
we know that.
Hmm.
But the current today, it is about the sovereignty of Africa, and it is about nationalism, it is about the Pan African consciousness, and it is about the revival of Pan Africanism. So even the leaders who may not have claimed Pan Africanism in the past, they understand that there is a new Africa that was born. They see that things have to change, and some of them are adjusting, and some of them maybe in a very opportunistic way, I may be using the narrative of Pan-Africanism. Somehow it resonates in the streets, and then it contributes to the expansion of the Pan-African narrative. So, in the case of Mali, so far, they're doing the right thing. They want to diversify Mali's partners. They expelled the French troops they expelled them from Mali. They expelled all those troops of the UN, all those missions there that were supposedly there to fight terrorism. All of them are expelled. They are the ones taking their time to exit Mali, but they have received the order to leave Mali. And then, so this is what is happening. And so we need to acknowledge and we need to give them credit for that. So this is what that will be my answer to the second question.
So I got to tell you, I got really excited with the when you explain the sign, the people holding up the sign, not English speaking people, but know enough English to make a sign that says Black Lives Matter in English, regardless of what, we the analysis we have of the organization that came, that, associated with the movement, the Black liberation movement that has been, that has culminated in this current a Black Lives Matter people's movement. It's hard not to get excited
Okay.
at the acknowledgement of the unbreakable bond between Africans on the continent and those of us struggling here throughout the diaspora against the same systems. That just blows my mind.
I
Um,
I would like to say, to add two more things if you don't mind. So
yes, please.
yes, two more things. So other thing is that uh uh there was a meeting. There was a meeting at the end of the month of July. I think it was in the Caribbean, and then uh, in Barbados, I think it was about reparation
Mm-hmm.
for one of, I mean, I will say for the first time. I can be wrong. For the first time, we saw that the African Union and CARICOM decided to partner in order to fight together about reparation. It happened like not even 2 weeks ago. So these are expressions of solidarity beyond, the borderlines of the continents that can separate Black people or people of African descent, but it is happening, and it was a very important element moment. The Vice President of Colombia, I think her name is Sylvia Marquez, uh,
Francia Marquez.
Francia Marquez,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Francia Marquez. Uh, she was there, and she had some bilateral meetings with some of the Africans who were there, and they want to invite her to speak, to be in Ghana, because Ghana is also organizing the second conference on reparation in October 2023. So these are happening, and as you know, as we spoke, Togo organized the launching ceremony of the 9th Pan-African Congress on May 22nd, and Togo wants to organize that 9th Pan-African Congress next year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in the meantime, there will be 5 or 6 regional conferences that will be organized. So these are things that are happening, and then thanks for the opportunity you're giving me, to share that with your audience. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you. We are grateful for this information. And I just have to note, as you brought up CARICOM, and I'm not sure if you've heard the conversation that I had with Dr. Pierre and CARICOM's complicity in wanting a military invasion in Haiti. So, just want to point out that CARICOM has some serious contradictions that we must contend with, even as they are moving in the right direction on some other things. Just want to make that point, because I don't
I
want
agree.
people, yeah,
I
I don't want
agree.
people to be like, Jackie, how'd you let that slip? I did. So,
Yeah, no, I know, but then, it's the same thing even now. I know she was talking about William Ruto, the president
mm-hmm,
of Kenya. So
mm-hmm,
he's been like one of the most vocal leaders against the West, promoting the African consciousness in the eastern part of Africa. And then I was surprised when I heard the guy say that he was going to give like 1,000 policemen to go to Haiti. So those leaders, they have their contradictions,
mm-hmm,
but we have to join them whenever they are doing the right thing. And then when they're
mm-hmm.
not doing the right thing, of course, we have to be there to denounce them. And I will agree on the Dr. Pierre on that, because to see Kenya making all that noise in Africa about African consciousness, and the next thing you want to do is to try and do the Europeans' work in Haiti. Of course, that's not something we can encourage.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So now I want to ask you about the countries that have expressed solidarity and more than solidarity with Niger in particular, Burkina Faso,
Mm.
Mali, and actually there are people's organizations that have made very pointed statements about threats from ECOWAS to invade Niger. This is just one from the West Africa People's Organization. They released a declaration condemning the ultimatums announced by the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, and West African Economic and Monetary Union on the situation in Niger. WAPO is an anti-imperialist platform of progressive people's organizations from across West Africa, including members of the International People's Assembly. So they say, in short, and I'm going to provide you all with a link to this document, the West
Mm.
African People's Organization is vehemently opposed to the ECOWAS and UEMOA ultimatum to deploy a military force to destabilize the state of Niger should its military rulers fail to reinstate deposed President Mohamed Bazoum and the suspended constitution by the end of the day on Friday, August 4. What time is it in Niger, Dr. Legoke?
It should be maybe like should be like what 11 over there, 11 p.m.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to give people a frame of reference about the
Yeah,
timing here.
yeah, 11.
Um, they
Yeah,
say that firstly, the decision by ECOWAS heads of state is nothing more than a maneuver by colonial France and Great Britain. They're not getting enough smoke in this, under the hegemony of American imperialism. Name all of the names, to resort to armed intervention under the guise of restoring democracy and human rights in Niger. It's also a pretext to carry out imperialist plans to keep Niger, rich in mineral resources, notably uranium and hydrocarbons, continually in their imperialist fold, especially when Bazoum is a notorious. This right here. When we talked about this, Sean and I, on By Any Means Necessary, and when he read this statement on air, and we talked about this in our live hour with Ajamu Baraka, and Ajamu stopped Sean and asked the question, where did that phrase come from? Where does the phrase house Negro come from? It comes from Malcolm X. So
yeah,
the influence of American, of African liberation fighters and the struggle of African liberation in this country clearly has an influence on the struggle for African sovereignty in West African nations, as this organization, WAPO, has quoted Malcolm X in calling Bazoum a notorious house Negro, servile to the imperialist powers of NATO, particularly France, which for decades has plundered its uranium resources as the basis for its lighting. And I highlighted this. In any case, the current situation in Niger is due to Bazoum's excessive interference in national politics and social institutions, to autocratic personal rule, which has resulted in the denial of the right to freedom and expression, the suspension of civil liberties, and the unbridled weakening of the national opposition. This is, you need to understand who Bazoum is from the context of African people, from people in Niger who have exposed the kind of leader he is, and juxtapose that reality with the simping, fawning, please imperialists, come and bring your military in to restore me to power opinion piece that the Washington Post
posted.
published
Yeah, published.
from Bazoum
Yeah,
in their newspaper today.
yeah.
So Dr. Lagoke, what is your take on the way several nations in the West African region, in the Sahel, have not only come to shown solidarity with Niger, but seem to be forming a federation of sorts amongst themselves, and are openly declaring that any military move against Niger is a military move against all of us.
Mhm.
What is your take on what that means?
Yeah, so for people like me or you who always wanting to see Africans doing like expressing solidarity, I was pleased, to see that. I'm not going to hide my feelings about that. And then they are building before the federation. They expressed the idea of a federation between Mali and Burkina Faso, but beyond that or around that, we see the creation of the formation of a Pan-African bloc. We have Guinea-Conakry, we have Mali, we have Burkina Faso, and then we saw that Mauritania opposed the military intervention. Even the news coming from Algeria also confirm that Algeria is against the military intervention. And then we saw that uh, today I listened myself to the Minister of Defense of Chad, whose president was sent there as a mediator, and they asked him if Chad was going to bring some soldiers, because there were some rumors in the beginning that Chad was going to be activated or used in order to go and do an attack Niger. And the Minister of Defense of Chad clearly said that it is not an option. Chad is not going to send troops there. So we see that many do not want that military intervention, apart from some countries like Nigeria. I'm not even sure if Nigeria will do that, but we never know because of the pressure coming from the West. Nigeria, the president of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, also said that he may send some troops, and Macky Sall from Senegal. Beside those three, I've not heard many countries in Africa pledging to send troops in order to attack Niger. So it is also an opportunity for Africans to express that Pan-African solidarity, and it is a good thing to see that there is a Pan-African consciousness in formation around the Pan-African bloc in the way leading up to the creation of a possible or eventual federation in West Africa.
Dr. Legoki, how do you see and of course we don't have a crystal ball. We're not thankfully in the minds of the imperialists, but it's not as if they ever do anything new. They're like the devil. They don't do anything new. They just do the same old thing over and over again. So I think we can kind of guess what their move could be. A military intervention by any NATO, French, U.S. backed force against Niger. How does that unfold?
So all of us, we want to see how they will do it. So usually what they do is what they use helicopters and planes, and they want to have the aerial superiority. Of they did that in Ivory Coast. Everywhere they go, this is what they do. Contrary to what we see in Russia and in the war between Russia and Ukraine. So, but one thing that I know that I want to share with people is that the presidential palace in Niger is either inside the military barrack of the presidential guard, or it is across the street. I'm telling you, this is the funny part. That's why it was easy for people to take Bazoum as an hostage. So don't laugh. It's not laughable. It's not funny. But yeah, so I when I heard that I heard that a few years ago. So today I had to call some people. I said, seriously, tell me. They said no, it's not like a real military barrack, but the presidential guard, where the presidential guard is, this is where the presidential palace is. I said, how come? They say maybe the president was scared of being taken out of power, so he put his trust. It has been like that, and then this time there was a tension, and then it did not go well, and then this time it was easy for them to keep him. So he's there with the people, with the people. So how are you going to go there and attack the presidential, the security of the how can I say, the close security of the president when the president is around? So I don't know how they're going to do that. And based on what I heard, it is like more like I would say 100 people, more than 100 people who have been arrested. Some dignitaries of Bazoum regime. Is not just Bazoum. So I don't know. It's an operation to go and free the hostages, and at the same time taking putting back into power. So I don't know how they will do it. But if they want to go and kill people, they can go and still try. But I anticipate that it's going to be a little bit difficult this time, contrary to what happened in Ivory Coast, because in the case of Niger, the military leadership seems to have a clear idea of what they want to do. They want power. They're following the current about the aspiration of the people, and they want French and the West out of Niger. And then this is going to be a very complicated conversation for the European. How they're going to justify when we know that they went to Chad and then somehow they did not respect the democratic rules there, and when we know that in so many other places They have not respected democratic rules. And then for all of a sudden, they're going to remind themselves of the importance of democracy to go into a war. And many, I can tell you, on social media, everywhere we go, we listen to people do not want a military intervention in Niger. So let's see what happens on Sunday or Monday.
So, what should we, in the beating heart of imperialism, the place where the plans for these kinds of military interventions are cooked up and are directed from, what should we, Africans in the Americas, we internationalists, we anti imperialists, we Pan Africanists, what should we do? What should we be doing now?
So we have to do, after I say we, because I'm here, I'm talking about you guys need to do what you are doing. So, spread the word, share the information, update the people, but people do not know. And then sometimes, people, we may have the feeling that what we're doing is not that powerful. Of course it is. We have won many victories. And then in the case of Gbagbo, when they took him out of power, and we saw the US, like led by somebody who was loved by many people in the Black community, Barack Obama, the entire world was mobilized against Gbagbo. But Ivorians and Africans, and even here we have some people of African descent, and some Europeans, of some white Americans, somebody like Ron Becker, Sean Eugene, and Maurice Carnet, that for some people who supported our struggle. And then we continued, and Babu was freed. Just to mention only that, to say that sometimes we may have the feeling that those people are so powerful, but the cosmic energy is on our side, and then we are on the right side of history. And then this is also an ordained golden age of Pan-Africanism. So the ancestors are on our side, and so it is good. That's why it is so difficult for them. And then the Pan-Africanism that was known before, it was the Pan-Africanism of the leaders. Nkrumah, of course, mobilized the masses. Lumumba mobilized the masses. But the way the Pan-African movement is going on, is progressing, is a little bit different. It's the Pan-Africanism of the masses. When you hear about the Black Lives Matter movement, the movement for reparations, and then we can see the People's Power movement, people fighting here and there. That interconnection makes the struggle like more viable, more sustainable, and that's why it is difficult for the European to come and break us today. So we have to be confident that victory is on our side, and then now with Niger, it is possible for people to hear again the African voice. And then, if we can do it, and if we can avoid the war in Niger, and then somebody can come to a compromise, and if Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, understands that it is not going to be good for his country, because Nigeria has a lot of internal problems. The Igbo there, since the civil war of Biafra, we have not seen an Igbo guy becoming president of Nigeria. The last election, it was an Igbo guy who was defeated by Tinubu. And then people were talking about some fraudulent activities over there. Listen, clean your own mess before thinking about going to Niger to restore democracy. So that's the conversation that is going on, that we hear here and there. And then all those things contribute to consolidate Pan-Africanism in the minds, in the hearts of the African people, the same we see that in the streets of Africa.
Dr. Nyaka Lagoke, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This conversation was right on time. We needed to have it this night because we need to really put our hands to the plow and push forward for the people's liberation that we need to fight for on all fronts, on all continents, across all borders. Thank you so much, Dr. Lagoke.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, my friend. Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Y'all, that was, Dr. Lagoke and I had lunch yesterday, and we kind of talked about a few of these things, kind of at a high level. I didn't expect it to go where it did, but you know what? The ancestors in the universe do what they do, because I'm just willing to do what I'm supposed to do. And this is what I believe I am supposed to do. It's what I believe is the legacy of Abdishahid Lukman. It's what I believe I was put here on this earth to do. It's to talk about our liberation, to educate people, to bring people together, to expose knowledge, to bring light to people so that we can fight for our liberation in the light and destroy these oppressive systems of imperialism, neocolonialism that are crushing our people all over this world. So thank y'all so much for joining me tonight for this very special relaunch of the Imprint of Imperialism here in Lukman Nation on Black Power Media. Dang, I'm proud of this show. This was a great show. Join me every first Friday for a new episode of Imprint on Imperialism, where we'll certainly focus on Haiti and the continent, but where imperialism shows up and how it shows up everywhere else in the world and how we fight it. Join me on second Fridays each month to talk about all things Black labor for the Black Labor Bulletin. Third Friday, of course, is Blackonomically Speaking with our friend, comrade, and resident economist, Dr. Linwood Tawheed. And fourth Friday is just a free-for-all or a rest day. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Appreciate you. As always, a luta continua. The struggle clearly continues, but I promise you, y'all, if we keep fighting, Victoria acerta. Victory is certain. Peace.